fix my chair. Man, can we not fix this chair? What are you guys for? I don't know. Bravestarr, Bravestarr, part of a man, all of a horse. Thanks for tuning in. This is Bravestarr, part 1. Man, Bravestarr. Who's Bravestarr, you ask? Bravestarr, 1987, Filmation. Different from Stephen J. Cannell. That guy? Man, remember that? 1987 Filmation cartoon. I'm not going to say sister series, but sort of a, I like to think of them in the same galaxy as He-Man, right? I don't know, maybe not. Man, what an awesome show. If you're not familiar with Bravestarr, Native American Sheriff Marshall Bravestarr up in, I think it's called New Texas, floating around. Is that what it's called? Hanging out at Fort Carrium with his terrifying sidekick 3030. He's like this horse that turns into a man, similar to Cringer, who's a cat that turns into a bigger cat, but he's this horse that turns into a horseman. It's crazy, but it's awesome. It grew on me. I used to watch the cartoon when I was a kid. Hadn't watched it for like 25, 30 years since I got this commission and I started doing research and watching the show. He's got his own YouTube channel, so go check it out. Awesome character, great show. If you like He-Man, you're going to dig Bravestarr. I learned so much on this project and I wanted to share that with you, and I'm going to talk more about that in part 2 with the color theory and all that stuff. But in this one, it's all about the sculpt. And with the sculpt, you're gonna see it. I'm gonna show it to you, the other me, the other one, and a couple of things to pay attention in the sculpting process of this figure. In the cartoon, Marshall Bravestarr is wearing like a shirt that's got armor bits on it. Totally different from the Mattel toy of Bravestarr. Same character, but completely different design. And the job here that the client asked for specifically was for his cartoon appearance. And so he's wearing like a shirt, kind of. So what I did, once I got all of my joint prep and sanding and kit bashing and figured out all the parts that I wanted to use and make them so that when you articulate them, they don't scrape, the next step was the sculpt. It's on me, I don't know. And what I did with that was I filled in a lot of the musculature so that he wasn't this detailed, ripped Namor figure, which was pretty much the base that I used, to give it more of a cloth look, less tight superhero, because even though he's super heroic, he's not a superhero. So that would pay attention to that. Pay attention to something that I didn't pay attention to, which was his back. And I talk about this a couple times, but always do your research. Always look at your character, the design, front and back, sideways, up and down. Because it wasn't until I thought I was done sculpting, and it wasn't until I watched an episode where Bravestarr runs away from something, and you get to see the details that are on his back that I didn't know were there. So I went back, fixed it up, sculpted more details on it. Yeah, it was fun. Sculpted it in layers. Sculpted it in sitting sessions, different sessions. So I'm going to explain all that right now. Why don't you go on over, come with me, won't you? That was creepy, brother. And check it out, Marshall Bravestarr. I don't know why I got these out today, but they're awesome. My Mantech figures, y'all remember Mantech? Hey, check this out. Where is it? Where's it? Boom. That's creepy, man. What is that? Hey. This guy do it? See that? Boom! What? I don't even know. Has nothing to do with Bravestarr. Mantic. Alright, so Bravestarr here was sculpted with my usual Aves 2-part epoxy, part A, part B. You get about an hour or so to work with this stuff before it gets hard completely. But to help with that, and an hour is generous, to help with that, I got the Aves Safety Solvent, which is extremely helpful. I've mentioned before that I used to use water, which works, but it also makes the Sculpt, the epoxy, a little grainy once it's mixed. This stuff kind of melts it and gives it a helps you to smooth it out a little better. And you can see that in the areas that I created pant details, where I filled in the musculature to make it look more like he's wearing a shirt rather than so buffed out like the Namor figure is that I used. Let me get rid of his weapons here and I'll go through those in a second. What you got here is the full Bravestarr sculpt, and he was, like I just said, he is supposed to look like his TV show, cartoon self, and rather than the toy. The cartoon and the toy are very different in design. The toy is more of like a lot of techno parts to it, his vest and all that stuff. The cartoon is more, the cartoon has a lot more detail if you ask me. So what I did was, I started with a 6-inch Marvel Legends Namor figure, and gave him exchanged his forearms for some skinnier ones because I was going to sculpt over them. Gave him some, I think it was, what was it? Different shoes. Who are those from? Whirlwind or somebody? I forget his name. And then the face is actually a resin cast of the Sentry. That's a head. Added the cowboy hat from DC figure, whatever his name is. Josh Brolin DC figure. Some fodder bit for his antenna. And then a little bit of fodder for his holster right here, which works with the gun. It just sort of clips on right there, hangs out. In the cartoon, he's got like, he just pulls it out from behind his back every time. I don't know if these 2 pockets on the back that I sculpted are like dimensional pockets and you can pull anything out of it. But he pulls that out, he pulls the tomahawk out. It's pretty crazy. So once I got the Namor figure, or the base figure, assembled, I went in and did all my joint prep, ground down all the joints. You can see, for instance, here in the ankle, that there's plenty of gap. Let me use my tool. Plenty of gap right in there. Focus, there you go. Right here, where I dremeled it and then sanded that down, and I did that for all of his joints, knee joints, elbow joints, the ab crunch, so the ab crunch can clear the sculpt that I did. You can also clear it on the back that I did. I did so on the neck as well, because that's all going to be painted. You don't want the paint to chip off. From there, I went in and filled in the musculature to try to make it more flat and also a bumpy texture that a shirt would have, right? Once that was done and cured, then I did that all over the body. I sculpted some pant details where the creases would be when you bend your legs, bend at the hips. I did it also for his boots, where the ankle would be. Then I went in and did a couple more shirt details with the collar, sculpted the collar here, all the way around. And then these are all in separate sittings, because you got to sculpt, let it sit, cure, sculpt, let it sit, and cure. So you don't want to be doing something and stick your thumb into something and squish it. The shoulder pads, the armor, the first layer of armor here on the abs, the leg details around the boots and stuff. That was all one sitting, and then the second layer of armor would be the badge, the cuffs were the first, and then the cuff details there, and then also the boot details, these little dot guys things. Those all came in a separate sitting. The head, he has two heads. Stand there. So the first head is that century head I was telling you about. And I sculpted, after I attached the hat, I sculpted the hair all the way around. I added the ponytail from a female Marvel Legends figure and sculpted it seamless. There we go, long hand. I sculpted his ears because the cast didn't have ears. Let's see if I can, there we go. The hat details, the rim of the hat, the sunburst on the front. So that's the first head. The second head is similar, but I used a different face, just to give him a different look. And then as I did this hair, the hair and the ponytail the exact same way. I did the rim of the hat and the antenna the same way, fodder antenna, sculpted the details of the rim of the hat. But then I added this visor. If you watch the cartoon, you're familiar with the cartoon, his hat, it's almost like Inspector Gadget. He's always got all these things that can come out. There's a earpiece with a megaphone, but I really loved the visor that came down. It was like a red and silver visor, and he could see, even though he had powers of Eyes of the Hawk, this was like an infrared scanner, I believe, in the episode that they featured it. So I thought I'd just give him a different option for the head. Accessories. So I showed you the gun, how his famous trademark gun, and how that it clips onto his belt. So the gun was created with a bunch of different fodder from different guns. I had an old-timey, old Western gun right here that I attached some laser beam stuff, a sight. This is Star-Lord's handle, and then I sculpted the detail down here that is kind of squares it up. Okay, and that'll come out in the paint. And the gun also has like an insignia on the side that'll come out in the paint. I did the toy. So the toy comes with the cartoon. He has the tomahawk and the handgun. Toy comes with a rifle, so I took some liberties on the rifle and just pieced together out of a bunch of fodder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different parts from 6 different guns, glued them together with super glue, and then added Tamiya Clear. Sorry, extra thin cement. I kept saying clear. What I meant to say was thin. This is extra thin. So this stuff is perfect for models. And I just, after the super glue, I went through and gave him just a little run of a little bit more protection on the pieces. So it's pretty durable. You know, I can drop it. It's good. Durable piece. I like that. And then the last bit was sort of an extra surprise for the client. A couple episodes, he pulls out this tomahawk from his butt or wherever he pulls that stuff out of, and made him a tomahawk with a little feather attached to it. It kind of dangles there, you can see. So, three pieces out of my fodder bin. The handle actually came from TMNT toys. The main part of the blade was just some stuff, plastic I cut, and then I sculpted the head of the blade and sculpted the details around the other side. So that'll be a nice little surprise for the client, who's, by the time they see this video, they'll already have that. And that was pretty much it, man. This was an awesome project. I hope you guys dig it. I really enjoyed the sculpt on this. I love it when I get to sculpt a figure and just add stuff from head to toe, a lot of details. And it was really cool. If you're making a Bravestarr figure, make sure you look at his back in the cartoon, because I didn't think he had any details on his back until I thought I was finished with the sculpt, and then I saw in an episode, one episode, you get to see his back. So there it is. Cool. Word up. So I hope you guys digged my little sculpt session there. If you still have a few more clicks in your fingers, be sure to like, subscribe, bell icon, watch the rest of my videos. I still don't know what bell iconing is. And if you'd like to support the channel and help it grow, see more videos more often, and get exclusive content. This is weird. Check out my Patreon at www.patreon.com/actoydesign. I put all of my behind-the-scenes tutorials, Q&As, exclusive footage, pickups, hauls. It's a great community. If you're on that, if you're part of that community and you're watching this, thank you so much. Sincerely, it's so flattering, and your support helps in so many ways. So many ways. So go check that out. It's also the home of the Patreon exclusive podcast. I almost ran out of breath. You Like Toys. You Like Toys. There it is again. Okay, that's my podcast. There's like 30-something episodes up there. And it's a blast. You can only find it on Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/actoydesign. Go check it out. So again, thank you for being here. Bravestarr. 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 Kitbash. Kitbash. Thanks for being here. I don't know what that is. Sound effect. That looks good. Neutral laser. Powers of hawk, wolf, puma, and bear. Bears don't do this. I don't know what this is. It's like, don't people dance like that? Like they have a ball of yarn or foil, a foil ball? Nah, that should be like this big. Pee Wee Herman's foil ball. This is how I dance when I'm in the club. I dance like this. It's called the foil ball.